Isn't it funny that nobody boasts about being a buy-to-let landlord anymore? If you roll back the clock to the early millennium, you couldn't go into a local golf club or shop without someone dropping buy-to-let into the conversation, as easily and as often as the weather. Yet now, Fife buy-to-let landlords have almost pariah status, as they place brown paper bags on their head as they enter letting agencies, lest they be recognised as such. However, they can easily be recognised though, as the average age of a UK tenant in a property is 32 years old, whilst the average age of a UK landlord is between 40 and 61 years old. All joking aside, if it wasn't for buy-to-let landlords, Fife and the UK would be in a rather difficult position when it comes to housing our local people. Many people believe that if you take buy-to-let landlords out of the loop in the UK property network, then it would be a land of milk and honey for first-time buyers priced out of the market. Those Fife landlords provide those tenants with a mixture of homes to live in, and using market forces ensure that the right number of Fife homes are available. In fact, the stats show that Fife buy-to-let landlords provide 19,729 Fife homes for 34,398 tenants. Yet the retort from many tenant organisations would be that Fife landlords are wealthy, middle-class people voraciously exploiting the failing Fife property market for their own profit and greed. Of course, the demographic of the average Fife landlord is that they tend to come from a more fortunate background, with 3 in 4 Fife landlords aged between their late 40s to late 60s and 4 in 10 having a degree level qualification. It also wouldn't surprise anyone to learn that those who invest in buy-to-let property in Fife are likely to be better off than those who have not yet been able to purchase their first home. That is the nature of the country we live in, and it's a consequence of the competitive free market economy. Indeed, asserting that buy-to-let landlords represent a transfer of wealth and money from tenants to landlords is kind of like saying that the pub represents a transfer of wealth from drinkers to the pub landlord. Now, don't get me wrong, the tax loopholes for landlords up until about 3 or 4 years ago were a little too generous. Still, they were closed by the Tories themselves. However, should the government try to place even more burden on landlords, some are suggesting, and forcing them to sell, I am certain some first-time buyers would find it cheaper to buy their first home. This is because they wouldn't be in direct competition with Fife landlords to buy the starter homes that both types of buyers crave, meaning house prices would ultimately drop. And this is simple economics would dictate that. Yet, if the supply of Fife privately rented homes contracted at a greater rate because landlords were selling up than the demand, this would make renting more expensive. Again, simple economics. For the vast majority of Fife tenants who are still renting a Fife home, irrespective of whether property values dropped, it might take years for a tenant to save for a deposit. One might ask, why don't the local authorities build more council houses? Well, government funding has been tight because of the credit crunch deficit since 2009, and going forward because of the current situation with COVID-19, it will get even worse. In fact, of the 617,230 new homes built in the UK over the last 4 years, only 8,270, or 1.33%, were built by local authorities, meaning only just 1 in 100 of all new properties built in the last 4 years were built by local authorities. This is as important as the number of people in rented property has been growing over the last 20 years. In fact, when you look at all the tenants in the council and private rented accommodation locally, which is 35.2% of Fife people who live in rented property, interestingly, the demographic of council house tenants is totally different from the tenant that is in a private rented home. The average age of a council tenant is 52 years old compared to 32 years old in private rented. So it appears that the older generation have the upper hand on council houses. So again, who exactly is going to house the people of Fife, especially the younger generation that can't afford to buy? Local authorities haven't got the money, and housing associations get their money from the central government, so the only other source of housing is private landlords. This problem existed before private landlords filled the gap. No doubt, many Fife landlords have certainly gained from the problem, especially between 2000 and 2007, yet at the same time they have helped home millions of people. Consequently, are Fife landlords greedy and selfish? For the law-abiding Fife landlords that look after their tenants and their properties, really nothing could be further from the truth. Yes, they have made some money, yet if you take into account property maintenance, mortgage finance, taxation, agency fees, surveys and inspections, it's really not the gold mine they think it is. Historically, ambiguity in the property market typically results in an expansion in an activity of private rented market. Prospective homeowners will rent in between selling their home and buying the next one, while budding first-time buyers typically postpone their purchase and stay in private rented market for marginally longer, which all increases demand for rental property. Now, for any further advice and information, I have provided a link to the Fife Properties blog where you can read this article and others which provide advice and help. Also, if you are a Fife landlord and you would like to discuss your options, you can book a free initial consultation with Fife Properties, and I have also provided a link in the post. Please feel free to subscribe, share and like this post with others. Until next time, I'm Richard Cook, this is Fife Properties TV.